afternoon, everyone. Thank you for showing up. You're listening to KHTS hometown station, 98.1 FM, 1220 AM, and you are listening to Listed by Mina Kuper. And the show is about trust, probate, divorce, and more. So, especially in these unprecedented times, people are kind of reacting to things differently. And it's a little bit of chaos. And I have professionals on the show with me to help guide you through situations that involve trust, probate, divorce, dissolutions of relationships, and having to do with real estate. I'm a real estate agent, and I have with me today Peter Weinberger, who's an attorney, and he is a mediator, which is amazing because you probably don't want to end up in probate court right now because things are probably a year out. The courts have closed, then they open, and they're on a skeleton crew. So if you can avoid probate, and you can talk people off the ledge, which Peter tries to do, and he's really good at it, I want you to know. He's a very fair guy, and he knows his stuff, and he's been doing this a long time. So Peter Weinberger, can you tell people about your mediation practice and why somebody would want to mediate right now instead of going to court?
Okay. Well, thanks, Mina. Thanks for having me. And I think the first thing is to tell people what mediation is. Now, everybody's familiar with going to court. Now, going to court, you sit there in front of a judge or you sit there in front of the jury, and each side tells their story, and then the jury renders a decision. What mediation does is mediation is basically a negotiation that happens outside the court system with a mediator as the facilitator. And the way I kind of describe it is if you've ever seen these international, disputes, two countries are negotiating and they have a neutral person going back and forth, shuttle diplomacy they used to call it, that's what the mediator is. And so what I do is when people have a dispute, either they filed a lawsuit or they're going to file a lawsuit, they will come to me and each side will sit down with me and it'll all take place in one sitting and we'll hash out the case and reach a settlement. So that's the basic mediation process.
And can we talk about what I feel is important, the fees involved in probate versus mediation? People don't realize sometimes the expense and the time it costs to go to probate and why mediation should really be the foremost thing that people should focus on.
Well, the biggest advantage of mediation is the cost. People don't have any idea how much lawsuits cost. And whether it's in probate court or a regular real estate transaction, if you have a dispute, you can find yourself spending easily $100,000 on a lawsuit. The other thing is the time. Especially with the courts being shut down by COVID, you could file your lawsuit today and you won't get a trial for 2 years, now maybe 3 years. So you're sitting on tenterhooks. You don't know what's happening. Your money is tied up, and every month you're writing that check to your lawyer. So rather than spending $100,000 or more and then going to court and not sure what the outcome's going to be, you can come in and see me, and we can negotiate a solution that is a business solution, something that makes sense, and most importantly, saves both sides a ton of money.
Mm-hmm. And does the other side have to get their own mediators, or do you mediate on behalf of both people?
No.
Can it work either way?
There's a single mediator, and so here's how the process works. Each side will have a lawyer, and let's say we've got a lawsuit. Let's say there's a fight in probate over who is the beneficiary of the estate or who gets what portion of the estate. Let's say we're talking about a house. There's no house in L.A. that's less than $500,000. It could be $1 million or $2 million.
I sold something $490,000.
You sold the cheapest house in L.A. You found it.
That was Santa Clarita, actually. It was a townhome, but I did get it.
So you can even if it's we're talking about $500,000. That is a lot of money. But think about it. Think if you're in a lawsuit, okay? And the judge has to decide, in probate court a judge decides, the judge has to decide who is the winner of the lawsuit. Well, you say, well, it's very simple. We'll just go in there next week and we'll each tell our story. Not so fast. Mm-hmm. First of all, your trial date is going to be 2 years in the future, maybe 3 years, because we have not had any trials since March. And not just civil trials, but criminal trials, which have priority. and eviction trials have priority. So civil trials, your probate trial is the last one they want to do. And I want you to think about this too. We're not going to have very many trials because you can't do trials during COVID because you can't space people apart. So imagine that, okay, somebody passed away and you're counting on that, let's say it's a 50-50 split, you're $250,000. Well, would you like to have it now or would you like to have it 3 years from now? So that's the first thing. And then, okay, we've got a lawsuit, okay? All the lawyers people don't realize how expensive lawsuits are until they get into it. And it's death by 1,000 cuts. You get a bill for $5,000 this month, a bill for $10,000 that month. What if you run out of cash? What if the other side has more money? So you can either go and each side spend $100,000. And so what you wind up with is, let's say you win, instead of winning your $500,000, you get your $400,000. So you're already $100,000 down. Or you can go into mediation and try and reach a settlement. And what I do in mediation is we don't put everybody in the same room. So that's the first thing is imagine how much you hate the person on the other side. You had to sue them because they're trying to take your money.
Yes.
Okay?
Not fun.
So the worst thing we could do is to put two enemies in the same room and have them start screaming at each other. So what I do is I put each side in a separate room and I go back and forth between the rooms. And of course, these days we do it in virtual rooms.
I was just
Zoom.
going to ask you. So you're doing Zoom meetings with the mediations?
Yeah, and I had a probate one recently, and the issue was what often comes up in probate is two things. One of it is called undue influence.
Right.
Okay,
Into duress.
so imagine that dear Aunt Gladys, who has no heirs, but you and your rotten cousin. Okay. And your rotten cousin goes and sees that Aunt Alice only has 3 months to live. So she moves in with Alice and says, oh, Alice, I'm going to take care of you. I'm going to be the most wonderful person in the world. But really what they're thinking is, I'm going to convince Aunt Alice to go change her will.
Right.
And if somebody uses that undue influence, especially a caretaker, that can be challenged in court. Okay, so we don't want to put you and your rotten cousin in there. But the other thing I want you to realize is you don't know how the judge is going to rule. You may know your cousin is rotten, but the judge doesn't know. So we take that uncertainty out of the case. So we make it go faster. We eliminate 80% of the attorney's fees, and we take the risk out of it because no case is 100% certain. And so that's the benefit of mediation.
And I know that there's a competency issue. So the argument is, was the person competent? The person living with the person who's going to be dying in 3 months says that, she's fine. How do you justify? Can you get a doctor in today? Do you need 2 doctors? Can you get layman people to say Aunt Susie is not competent? The 3 of us know her well, and she's not acting properly. So how do you do that, especially during COVID?
The answer is all of the above. So you wonder to yourself, why do lawsuits cost so much? Well, all the lawyers want to take a deposition of someone. Okay, so let's say Aunt Susie is very ill. Well, you want to depose all of her doctors.
Right.
Okay, all of her caretakers, all the nurses, all the friends. Each side is going to line up people who are on their side. So let's say you've got 10 depositions, and a deposition goes half a day, and the lawyer's charging $500 an hour. Okay, so that's $2,000 just for the lawyer's time taking the deposition, another $1,000 for preparing for the deposition. And if you're doing 10 depositions, that's $30,000 there. Now, if they're doctors, you have to pay their expert witness fee, which is going to be $600 or $700 an hour. You also have to pay for the court reporter, which is going to be another $1,500 for the transcript. And we haven't even gotten into written discovery or appearing in court or filing motions. So you can see how it all adds up. And what you have to know is everybody always thinks that they've got a slam dunk case. And that's part of my job, is I make everybody unhappy in the mediation because I play devil's advocate, which is what I have to do.
Yes.
I have to go and tell you what the other side's going to argue and why that may be compelling. Because if a case was a slam dunk, it would never be filed in court. You wouldn't have to. You'd win right away. So we eliminate that risk and give you the certainty of a resolution that you can live with, because I'm not deciding the case. I can't force you to settle. You decide what is a reasonable settlement. And at the end of the day, at the time you may be very angry, but I can guarantee you 3 years later, when you've already collected the money from the resolution of the case, you're going to be much happier than you 3 years later, $100,000 into your lawyer and biting your nails, hoping the judge rules in the right way at the trial.
Can you appeal these rulings?
You can always appeal. So if it's a devastating loss for one side, and you think, aha, I've won, and then your rotten cousin files an appeal, and guess what? You have to wait another 2 years.
Oh my goodness.
And you have to pay your lawyers $50,000 to do the appeal. So as you can see, no, everybody has to get over the thought of I'm surrendering if I'm compromising. Because if you looked at it as a business decision, if you take all the emotion out of it, forget how much you hate your cousin, and just live with the fact that you're never going to see your cousin for the rest of your life, and you say, if I was a business, and if my business decision was, do I invest $150,000 on a 50-50 outcome over $500,000, so I'm going to net $350,000, and I only have a 50-50 chance of getting that $350,000, or perhaps I take $350,000 net right now with no attorney's fees and no risk, and I collect it immediately. So we run these. I have to get sadly, I have to pull the emotion out of the room.
Yes.
And especially in probate, it's always emotional.
Yes, even divorce.
Yeah, divorce is even worse.
Worse,
yeah.
Oh my goodness. People are just fighting over the crumb on the floor.
Yeah, so if we can pull the emotion out of it and stop the lawyers from goading their clients, because unfortunately there's some unscrupulous lawyers
like every
who want to go and gin up their client's emotion so they can keep the litigation going. And what I try and do is calm everybody down and say, let's look at this from a business angle. This is just money and not emotion. And then you're going to make a decision that's the best decision for you.
Right. And I do agree, people have to get, or should get a grip, not have to, get a grip on things. So, my question is, so Aunt Susie, it's COVID. How do we get Aunt Susie to see doctors and justify her competency level? Or even if someone's going through a divorce, to justify that a parent is not well enough mentally to make decisions that are being made for someone who can have child abuse or elder abuse.
These are the hardest things.
Right.
Because here you're talking less about money and more about the care of somebody, especially children.
Yeah.
So there's a whole process through the court system where you can have a custody evaluation by the court system. Sometimes the court will even appoint a special attorney just for the children to determine who is the best.
Interest.
But what happens, I don't do family law, but it's very interesting. There's an old friend of mine who's a family law judge, and I went to visit him in his courtroom one day. And this kind of summed up how things get so crazy in family law. So there's a husband and a wife in there, and the wife has filed a motion to get sole custody of the children. And by the way, they're there by themselves because they've blown through all their savings on lawyers, and now they can't afford lawyers.
Oh my gosh.
So they've spent hundreds of thousands, and they have nothing left.
Oh my goodness.
All they have left is their anger.
Yeah.
And so the wife is going, he's a drug user, and he's a this and a that, and the husband is saying, this is nonsense. This is all not true. I can't believe you're saying this. But nobody has any witnesses, and the poor judge has to go and decide who he finds more credible.
I mean, that's so, that to me during COVID times is just so devastating to think of what people are going through. But I know, Peter.
But let me tell you how that story ends. I'm
yeah.
sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's all this testimony from the two of them, and they submit declarations, meaning statements under oath from their friends. And the judge, my friend Bruce, says, okay, I've read everything. This is a tough call, but you know what? I've decided, wife, I think you're more credible, so you're going to get sole custody. And husband, all you will get is, supervised visitation once a week. And then the wife says, well, what if I want to go on a date? I want to leave the kids with him. And the judge just looked at her and said, maybe you should have thought of this before you filed your motion.
Oh my gosh.
If you want to go and, and by the way, if you're saying you want him to watch the kids where you're going on a date.
Yeah.
And, it's really unfortunate. People's emotions cause the worst decisions in court.
I know.
And you probably see that all the time.
Well, we're all human, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you've been an attorney, and me being in the business, dealing with people on an emotional level, with real estate. We all get emotional, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all have our trigger points that will affect what we do and what we say. And it's so important to try to get a grip on yourself. And so, Peter, when people want to try to get a grip on themselves, what's a good number for people to reach you? And how do they reach you?
The best
so
number
important.
is, here, let me look up, I usually have people go in their lawyers book it for me, but just give me 1 second here. Because
you don't want to give people your cell number, huh?
I know.
So you better be nice. I get free advice now because you know what? I have your cell number and I can give it to people.
I'm sorry. I just want to give you my case manager's phone number. My case manager is Nicole Betheram. And I'm sitting here actually going and looking it up because I just go and
hit dial.
Yeah. In fact, I know where I should find it. So I'm with a company called ARC, Alternative Resolution Centers. And my case manager, Nicole, I'm sorry, I'm doing this on the air. Oh, shoot, I have her cell phone number there.
Well, I don't think she'd be happy with that.
No.
She's gonna want to raise. But,
Okay.
I do want to tell everyone that you can file ex parte motions if there's a dangerous situation that you're in. You can have the court visit restraining orders immediately.
Yes.
And please don't wait if you feel someone is in danger. You can call Peter Weinberger's office. He can walk you through it. Whatever it is, just
Now, I don't do family law, so I don't want everybody calling up.
They can call you, and you can refer them to someone, right?
So my case manager is Nicole Betheram. Hers, the office number is 310-284-8224. But what I really want to encourage people to do is don't try and do it yourself.
Right.
Because the worst thing that happens is when we go into court and we see people are trying to do it themselves. And though I've seen these probates go on endlessly because the judge can't give them legal advice. All he does is plead with them to go hire a lawyer.
Right.
But they're there month after month after month not being able to resolve things. Now, when you're dealing with custody and children.
Or even elder abuse.
Yeah, or elder
right?
abuse.
They're locking Aunt Susie up in the house.
You want to go.
She can't get out.
You can go into there and I would recommend getting a lawyer and going into court. And they will appoint actually an attorney to be the attorney for the elder.
Right.
Because they know that everybody has a bias.
Yes.
So when there's a concern about things like that, the court will appoint somebody. It's called the public guardian for elder abuse to go take care of that.
Yes.
But hey, it's penny wise and pound foolish to try and wing it yourself. And I can't tell you the number of times I've seen things.
Well, what happens when they don't have money? Can they get?
Okay, so in family law, there's free services you can get, but there's a wonderful organization called the Harriet Buhai Center, B-U-H-A-I. And it's one of the only places I know that works with people who don't have money in family law settings.
Oh, isn't that wonderful? I didn't even know about it.
Yeah, I mean, there's not really a lot, but they do it.
And maybe you can post that on the Facebook so people could know. You can post when you get back to the house or the office and let people know about this organization so they can go back and, when they have time, to write this down. And, they're lucky we have this on Facebook. So if they're listening to the radio and they don't have a time to write it down, they can go and refer to this on Facebook.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it.
That would be great.
So there's various organizations. I know for elder abuse, there's an organization called BET-SEDEC, B-E-T, next word, T-Z-E-D-E-K.
Them I've heard of. They're wonderful.
And they work with a lot of low-income people and seniors and stuff like that.
That's fantastic.
So there are advocacy organizations out there. But if you can afford a lawyer, just to even start the process, it's so important. And, maybe even sitting down with a lawyer for an hour and they can point you to places where you can get public services.
Right. Instead of just winging it and just talking to people that don't really know the system as you do.
Especially if the other side has a lawyer. Because I see this so often where initially, and I hate to say it, but it's usually the wife who's the lower income person. Maybe she's a stay-at-home wife.
Right.
And you've got a husband who's earning, and she's concerned about her children. She hasn't initiated a divorce, and she tries to go into court by herself.
Well, wouldn't the husband have to pay for it? The
Well,
judge
that's
can.
if you file the action. But if you
Right.
try and then you have to get a support order. But if you try and do it yourself, you're just going to get clobbered in court because it's not that you're not smart. It's you just don't know the procedures.
Because that kind of would leave the person who's not working helpless,
Yes.
in a sense. So I think that does it take a lot to get a reverse order for the husband or the wife, whoever's working, to pay for their legal fees?
If you get a lawyer, you will get a support order, an
Okay.
interim support order that will cover living expenses and legal fees.
Can you do
and
an
things of that
emergency
nature.
support order?
Yes.
Okay.
That's one thing, family law, because they know that there's all these critical things going on, especially if they're children. There's people go in quite often with what's called an ex parte application,
Yes,
which
yes.
is a request for an order on
And
very
they
short
see you
notice.
within 24 hours.
Yeah,
Correct?
but you definitely, you're shooting yourself in the foot if you
Right.
don't get a lawyer.
Yes.
So
I
really,
agree with you. It's, if you need a hand surgery, you're not going to do it yourself.
Exactly.
I always get a professional because I know if you're going to do something and do it right, I'm a certified trust and probate realtor, and, there's endless times that I've had attorneys or the heirs pull me in because they hired a realtor that doesn't know the probate world, and that causes complications. You can have a seller tied up in escrow with a buyer that is not really the buyer. They're assignees, because everybody comes out to play when you tell them that you sell probate or inheritance properties.
the vultures
And-
come out.
Yeah, yeah. And I have a book. I don't think I told you, Peter. I have a book you can get on my website. How to sell your tips on how to sell your inherited house. So if people want to get a free copy of that, you can go to my website and check out some of my media and reach out to me with any questions. Even if you don't need a realtor and you need help, you can always reach out to me, because that's what I'm here for.
It's fantastic to have somebody who knows the world of probate as your realtor, because having probated estates before, when the client will say, "Oh, but my cousin so and so is a real
Right.
estate agent. Have they ever worked in the probate system before?" "No, but I'm sure they can learn it." And that's when my headache begins.
Yes.
So, there's no difference in, everybody's going to charge basically the same commission.
Right.
So why should you go and hire somebody who's going to cause you headaches if you can relax and hire somebody who's a professional who does this all the time, like Mina?
Yes. Thank you.
So
Thank you.
don't mess around.
No,
Just
this is
hire a
serious
pro,
stuff, guys. This is
and
serious stuff.
You've got
And-
enough to worry about. Just relax
Yeah.
and hire the pros.
Yes, agreed. And again, Peter, please put the information for everyone to look on Facebook so they can have access to you and access to these wonderful organizations that do pro bono work for people in need that are low income or have no income. There's help out there, guys. Reach out to me, reach out to Peter. We're here for you. We're not all about money. We're about helping people, and that's what my show's about.
Absolutely.
La Rocca Inspections provides 4 of the most needed inspections when buying or selling real estate, and homeowners love their property reviews. Since 1994, they serve the greater Los Angeles area and its 100-plus communities. Schedule residential or commercial inspections for your comprehensive reports. Their inspections can save you money on repairs. Go to laroccainspections.com and download the free guide to inspections. Call now for your free quote, 818-951-1795.
Your hometown station.
Our news team at KHTS is constantly working to keep you informed. If you want the latest and greatest information on the Santa Clarita Valley, just sign up for the KHTS newsletter. SCV News delivered directly to your email inbox every weekday by 5 p.m. and a special weekend edition on Sundays. All it takes is an email address and you're set. Go to hometownstation.com to register.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
This is Bradley from Santa Clarita Grocery, the all-volunteer grocery program serving children, families, and individuals experiencing food insecurities. Since January 2020, Santa Clarita Grocery has distributed 83 tons of fresh groceries to 4,465 families in the SCV. Santa Clarita Grocery is a drive-up, drive-through service with physical distancing in place to continue serving our community. If you are in need or looking for a charity to do the most good for our community, please consider partnering with us by donating to Santa Clarita Grocery, one of the most efficient charities in the Santa Clarita Valley. A full 99 cents out of every dollar goes directly back to the community. Santa Clarita Grocery operates on a 1% overhead and is sustained through private donations. Santa Clarita Grocery is at 21176 Center Point Parkway in the Oasis Furniture parking lot. Please visit our website, santaclaritagrocery.org, or our Facebook at Santa Clarita Grocery to make a difference in our awesome town community. 661-425-7575. Be our guest and experience the difference.
This is Jerry Strati Goldman, owner here at KHTS Radio. I've been using Plumbing by Kirk for years, both personally and here at the station. From small issues like toilets running and clogged sinks to much bigger issues, Kirk Stinson has always been here for me. There's no one I trust more with my plumbing problems than Kirk and his team. Quick, reliable, and very reasonable prices. Call now for estimates on new drain installations, old drain replacements, and water heaters. 263-6519 or log on to plumbingbyKirk.com.
I'm Tamara Gurney, President and CEO of Mission Valley Bank, Santa Clarita Valley's local community business bank dedicated to supporting small businesses throughout our community. As a matter of fact, Mission Valley Bank made over 360 Paycheck Protection or PPP loans to totaling over $72 million to local small businesses to help them navigate these challenging times. Our commitment to small businesses throughout our community will not waver as we look forward. On behalf of everyone at Mission Valley Bank, we're wishing you a happy holiday season.
Your hometown station.
Life takes us in different directions sometimes, and we may not always have computer access for breaking news. KHTS has a solution. Text alerts. Breaking news you need to know about fast. Freeway closed? We'll text you directly. Emergency police activity in the Santa Clarita Valley? We'll text you. Sign up now for text alerts at hometownstation.com. KHTS has your back.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Felicia Gerardo Insurance Agency specializes in your small business, homeowners, auto, umbrella, and life insurance needs. Their personalized staff is passionate to help you save money while keeping all your valuable assets covered. During these times, many people are concerned about insurance and getting the best value for their dollar. Felicia Gerardo's Insurance Agency understands this and approaches each situation uniquely. Felicia Gerardo's Insurance Agency has friendly hometown customer service reps that are ready to help you today. 661-288-2001.
This holiday music is brought to you by Providence Holy Cross Medical Center, your community health partner. To learn more about our award-winning care, call 1-888-HEALING or visit us on the web at providence.org.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Hello, you're listening to Listed by Mina Kuper, and we're back on the air with Peter Weinberger. This is KHTS Radio, 98.1 FM, 1220 AM. Peter, we're going to talk now about business and mediation because people have businesses too, not just homes.
So I wanted to give you an example of how mediation can be more effective than litigating a case. And this involved a client of mine. This is a case where I was actually representing a client as opposed to a mediator.
Right.
We initially went to a mediation. So what the case was about is my client owns a very large restaurant in a shopping mall, one of the big malls in the LA area, one of the named mall companies, and such that their monthly nut between their rent and what are called common area maintenance charges and utilities and everything was probably $60,000 a month. So it's a big lease. And they signed the lease before the mall had finished construction. And when they had signed the lease, they had a rendering, which is, a drawing of what everything's going to look like, that showed that this shopping center was going to have adjacent to it a hotel and an office tower. And when it was actually built, they built it without the hotel and the office tower. And my client's business was there were other issues as well, but the business for the restaurant was probably about 30% less than they anticipated. Now, nobody knows how a mall's going to perform, but they felt, and I think rightly so, that they'd been misled by this. Now, of course, if you've ever seen any of these commercial leases, they are literally 100 pages long. They're written by the landlord, and it's all designed to protect the landlord. So I had to be very clever to keep this case in court, and I managed to get it in court. And then we said, let's sit down for a mediation. And the first session of the mediation was with a judge, a retired judge. And frankly, I don't like retired judges as mediators because they don't think creatively. What they do is they say, well, what would happen if we went to court? And so if we went to court, there were two options, or three options. The first option is we could win, and the judge could go and dissolve the lease. We had a 15-year lease, so we were paying, $720,000 a year, and we would owe that for the next 15 years. So we could say, okay, you misled them into entering into this lease, so I'm getting rid of your lease entirely. You, restaurant owner, you can go on your way. And then they lose all the time and money they invested in this restaurant. Or he could say, well, I'm not going to get rid of the lease entirely, but I'm going to award you monetary damages for what your lost business is in the past and what I think your lost business will be in the future. But you'll be stuck with this crummy lease and paying this above market rent. And to me, we sat there and when the mediation, and our retired judge just went back and forth and said to the landlord, well, will you give them X number of dollars? Will you take X number of dollars? And it really went nowhere. And so then we went into more depositions in the case, and they were deposing my client. And this was my opportunity to really talk to the other lawyer with my client there. And the first thing I said to him as we're kind of going through these depositions is I said, well, isn't there a better business solution here? Because all a court can do and all a jury can do is award money. They can't rewrite the lease. But we have a problem here because let's assume we win. If we win, we lose all of our time and money and we leave the space. But you know what? Our rent that you've been getting from us, $60,000 a month, probably market rent for this is now going to be $30,000 a month. Oh, and by the way, you have to find a new tenant, which may take you 6 to 9 months for this very large space. And then you're going to have to pay for what's called tenant improvements. In other words, changing the space to the taste of the new tenant. And that will cost you $300,000. So we will lose all the time and money and effort we invested, and you're going to have a much worse lease, and you're going to have to pay $300,000 out of pocket, and you're going to lose 9 months worth of rent, which could be $30,000, $40,000 or so a month. So isn't there a better way to resolve this and more of a win-win program? How do we make this work economically for both of us? And so over the next series of depositions, we basically said, okay, because they were asking my clients about the finances anyway. I was saying to them, I want you to go get on the phone if you won't mind and talk to your client. And this is the economics that will make this work for us. And we basically renegotiated the lease to make it affordable for us and make the business profitable. And the funny thing about it is what worked for us as being more profitable was a higher lease than they would pay at market. And plus, they wouldn't have the space empty for 9 months collecting no rent, and they wouldn't have to pay $300,000 in tenant improvements. So that's something where only a mediation could do that, because in court, you just either they write you a big check or they tear up your lease. There's no business solution. So that's something where that's actually the case that got me to be a full-time mediator, because I was so frustrated with the poor job that these retired judges do. All they could look at as a solution is the solution that a jury or judge could issue, as opposed to what is a business solution for everybody. So I try and give people that as an example that lots of times, especially in the commercial real estate context, that's really the better solution, is how do we make this as a win-win for both sides? You're each going to have to give in a little bit. I'm sure my client is paying a little bit over market rent, but then again, they could have lost the lawsuit. So, and that way they didn't have to give up their investment of all that time and years in this business. So, and I want to tell you another real estate case I just mediated.
Did they have, I'm just curious, did they have an operating agreement?
For the client, yes.
Yeah.
So they also had investors.
Oh,
so
wow. So there was a whole prospectus, I assume.
Well.
Or was it a handshake?
Well, it turns out it's all relatives, actually. But there's still investors. You know, you still have to look at your cousin who invested, $500,000 in this business and it's not making money, and kind of explain it. And mates for a very uncomfortable Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Oh, my gosh. And then some.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
But we wound up coming up with a business solution that really made sense for everybody.
Very, very interesting. Thank you for sharing that.
So I want to tell you about one other real estate case.
Yeah.
This is about a bad real estate agent. And this involves a case where there was a investor from China. And she had gotten put in touch with a real estate agent in the LA area to go, and because she was told everybody makes money in real estate in LA. So she bought an investment property, a single family home for her out in Hesperia. Now this lady in China, she lives in Shenzhen, China.
She's never been to
She has
Hesperia.
no idea what Hesperia is or anything, but basically she bought this lady this house, this Fannie Mae foreclosure out in the middle of nowhere. And then, as often happens with people from China who are doing purchases in the United States, the real estate agent's basically expected to be a property manager for them, find them tenants and things of that nature.
Right.
But, and this is a warning to everybody, why you should always have things in writing. There's no property management agreement with them.
Oh, my goodness.
And so she does a very poor job. She can't really find a tenant. Homeless people move in. She has to get the homeless people out. They trash the place. Then squatters move in. They have to get those people out.
Oh, my goodness.
So we wind up in our mediation. And the lady in China says, and then when they finally do sell the house, there's so many liens for all the repairs that were done that there was virtually no money left for her.
Oh, my goodness.
And the lady from China says, I'm entitled to all my money back for I gave to this and some punitive damages for all this. And I said, you are.
Oh, so we're going to take a break.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm going to have some, you know what? This is so interesting. We can keep going, but we do have to take a break. And I'm going to talk to you when we get back about some perks that I'm doing for people to help everybody. And Peter, I want you to hear it too because I didn't have time to tell you. So we'll be back.
When it comes to buying or selling your home, there's no room for error with your money. That's why Precision Escrow is the company you need to know. When selling your home, you want to make sure you're working with a company that has your best interest and keeps your money safe. That's why they use encrypted emails and secure trust accounting. Precision Escrow will follow the contract in detail from the beginning to the end and protect the parties involved. Working with Precision is like working with a huge family. Everyone is always smiling and cohesively working together for you. Check out their 5-star Yelp and Google reviews and see how they separate themselves from the competition. Whether you use an agent or sell your home yourself, they'll give you 30% off your transaction, which saves you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars. Use code RADIO30 to take advantage of the savings. Call Lauren Fredette, your representative, for more details. She's available 7 days a week during and after office hours. Call toll-free 877-393-4101. Let them help you through one of the most important decisions of your life. La Rocca Inspections provides 4 of the most needed inspections when buying or selling real estate, and homeowners love their property reviews. Since 1994, they serve the greater Los Angeles area and its 100-plus communities. Schedule residential or commercial inspections for your comprehensive reports. Their inspections can save you money on repairs. Go to laroccainspections.com and download the free guide to inspections. Call now for your free quote, 818-951-1795.
This is Jerry Strati Goldman, owner here at KHTS Radio. I've been using Plumbing by Kirk for years, both personally and here at the station. From small issues like toilets running and clogged sinks to much bigger issues, Kirk Stinson has always been here for me. There's no one I trust more with my plumbing problems than Kirk and his team. Quick, reliable, and very reasonable prices. Call now for estimates on new drain installations, old drain replacements, and water heaters. 263-6519 or log on to plumbingbyKirk.com.
Felicia Dorado Insurance Agency specializes in your small business, homeowners, auto, umbrella, and life insurance needs. Their personalized staff is passionate to help you save money while keeping all your valuable assets covered. During these times, many people are concerned about insurance and getting the best value for their dollar. Felicia Dorado's Insurance Agency understands this and approaches each situation uniquely. Felicia Dorado's Insurance Agency has friendly hometown customer service reps that are ready to help you today. 661-288-2001.
At Substrata, they're dedicated to be your go-to general contractor. They are a premier builder of high-end custom homes from the ground up, major remodels and expansions, multi-unit construction, and commercial tenant improvements for both retail and office build-out. Their focus on details and personal attention have been constant, from conception of the project to completion. They build stories not with pen and keyboard, but with steel and manpower. Visit Substrata.com or call 424-702-5700.
I love it.
Right on!
Your hometown station.
You're listening to KHTS Radio, 98.1 FM, 1220 AM. And Peter is going to finish his story because I'm hanging in there waiting for the end of the story here. So tell me.
We've got our bad real estate agent
Yeah.
who has really taken advantage of this poor lady. The lady's $150,000 has disappeared.
Oh, my goodness.
And I don't want to go into all the details, but so I'm in this mediation with the bad real estate agent. And I'm talking to the lady in China through her interpreter. And she says, well, I've already spent $100,000 on my lawyer. How am I going to come out ahead on this? And I said, well, look, I'm sorry you didn't come here sooner because there's an expression that sometimes the attorney's fees are the tail wagging the dog. In other words, the attorney's fees become bigger than the amount at stake. Remember, the total amount of money she lost was $150,000.
Oh, my goodness.
So I said, what you have to look at is what happens if you go forward. And I asked the lawyer, how much money is going to cost to go get a judgment? Oh, probably another $100,000. So you're going to be $200,000 into it. Now let me talk to the bad real estate agent. Usually I find bad people are not good savers. So when you're dealing with somebody who's done something really bad, they usually aren't the people who have a lot of money in the bank just in case they have to pay somebody for all their bad conduct. And so I had her give me all of her bank statements, and she's really tapped out.
Oh my goodness.
So what I had to tell the lady is, who was suing, is I said, look, you don't want to put good money after bad. You're not going to get that $100,000 that you've already spent, but do you want to spend another $200,000? And let's say, or up to $200,000. Let's say you get a judgment, maybe for $500,000. The jury goes crazy. How are you ever going to collect it?
And then she could file bankruptcy.
Yeah. Well, actually, punitive damages you can't discharge. But,
really?
but that's actually how it came out. I said, what you want to do is you want to have a number that's large enough that she could possibly pay it.
Right.
And so we actually came up with a number between her and the real estate company she works with. I don't want to give the total number, but it's something where it hurts, but it leaves some money in the lady's pocket, more than the attorney's fee she's paid. She doesn't have to pay any more. We have a judgment without incurring any more legal fees, but we also have an assignment of her commissions, of 50% of her commissions going forward until they're paid off.
That was clever.
So, and she also agreed not to discharge this debt in bankruptcy. And so what it did is it gave her something that she couldn't get from a court judgment. And it didn't take all the money that could be used for settlement and just go use it to pay the bad agent's lawyers. So sometimes we have to look at it, like I said, as a business problem. And so, okay, you don't get the most vengeance you want, which is a jury really raining hellfire on her. But 6 months after you get that jury raining hellfire, you're going to feel like a schmuck when you've got no money.
Right.
So it's better to go negotiate something where instead of your settlement money going to the bad agent's lawyer, it goes to you. And that's what we did.
You know, what's great about mediation is on Zoom, you don't have to be in the United States. Some people may be going back and forth because they have real estate property here and they live in another country and they can't get here. So the nice thing is they can actually do it over Zoom or whatever you use to do the mediations right now. So everything has a remedy because everybody got really slick on how to do this long distance because we're kind of under wraps everywhere. So that's great. So you know that Peter is available for you no matter where you live.
In
and
China.
he has a
I've
Chinese
been 2 from
interpreter.
Chinese.
Yeah, he has a Chinese interpreter. And, you know, that makes life easier. And I know you can probably get an interpreter in any language.
Yes.
That's not a problem because there are interpretation agencies that are with the court system. So, you know, I want to thank you, Peter. And also, I want to give a shout out to a restaurant owner who opened a restaurant right before COVID hit. And it was created by her 2 children, her 2 minor children. And she reached out to me and asked me to give her a shout out. And I want to do this. And I will do it every week if you let me know who needs that shout out. So I have the restaurant is C&A, that's Charles, & A as in active, Cafe and Creamery. And that's at 19375 Plum, Plum, Canyon Road, Santa Clarita, 91350.
Are they
They're
open now? Can I go after the show?
Yeah, I think you can. And I'll give you their phone number so you can order. The phone number is 661 367 4758. Again, 661 367 4758. Put a smile on her children's face because I just.
Tell me what to
you know,
order. I'll go
well,
there right now.
yeah, we're gonna order when we get off the air, and we're gonna get some yummies. And you know, I think that's a great idea. And everybody, go order something. Let's at least make this a happy time. And I want to let everyone know, when you choose me as your realtor, I'm donating $3,000 in gift certificates to your favorite restaurant to buy food for people who cannot afford to pay for their food. And the $3,000 would be broken up into any way you would choose me to do so, and we'll give it out to families that need food and help the restaurants get through this hard time. So please call me, 310-345-8500. You can text me, call me, listed by Mina Kuper. Thank you so much for being here with us. And Peter, really, you're just a wealth of information, and you're so good at what you do, and such a nice man. You're one of the nice lawyers that is smart and clever, and you
Like
don't
your
waste people's time.
husband.
You don't waste people's time, and that's what I like. I am a New Yorker, so I don't like anybody wasting my time. I don't waste anyone's time, and everyone that I'm affiliated with, they don't waste anybody's time either. Their heart's in the right place, they do the right thing, but they're strong at what they do. So I want to, again, thank you, and please order some food. That's what we're going to do right now.
All right.
We'll see you next week, Tuesday at 2. See you soon.
All right. Thanks, Mina.
You're welcome.